Welcome to the Tim Booker Book Sharing channel. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our updates. Let's explore the world of books together.
The book I'm going to interpret for you today is called Stop Fooling Around, Mr. Feynman. It narrates the interesting stories of the renowned physicist and Nobel Prize winner, Richard Feynman. I'll take about 20 minutes to share the essence of the book with you, exploring the key traits that make Feynman such an intriguing physicist. Feynman, a brilliant physicist, emerged as a significant figure after Einstein. In 1965, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. He introduced Feynman diagrams, Feynman rules, and the renormalization calculation method, all crucial tools in the study of quantum electrodynamics and particle physics. He also participated in the Manhattan Project during World War II, primarily aimed at developing atomic bombs, with the atomic bomb that exploded in Nagasaki being one of the outcomes of this project. There's a popular saying nowadays, beautiful skin is abundant, but interesting souls are rare. Feynman unmistakably belongs to the latter category. When you hear keywords like physicists or university professors, do you think of those people from high school textbooks or the ones captured in school hallway photos? Feynman and his style are noticeably different, often referred to as the Peter Pan of geniuses. He wasn't like Newton, who remained unmarried throughout his life, dedicating it to science with deep bitterness. Feynman had a deeply memorable love life. Unlike Edison, who was scolded as a foolish child by his teacher and initially worked on various inventions in a rudimentary laboratory, Feynman's physics research career went smoothly. Additionally, Feynman led a particularly rich and diverse leisure life, possessing numerous skills such as repairing radios, playing samba drums, painting, deciphering Mayan glyphs, cracking safes, gambling, and, on top of that, being a master at charming women. With so many skills and accomplishments, it's truly envy-inducing. This book is an autobiography co-authored by Feynman himself and his friend's son, Leighton. The origin of this book is quite interesting. One day, while drumming with Leighton, Feynman started sharing his past stories. Upon hearing these entertaining tales, Leighton felt compelled to show the world the other side of a physicist, giving birth to this book. The central theme of this book is fun. Our Get column authors, along with Kai Tu, describe this book as a love letter from a science student to the world. It rescues us from stereotypical impressions of physicists and science students, revealing that scientists can also be adorable. Their world isn't just about formulas, experiments, and data, it can also involve beautiful women, revelry, and pranks. Today, let's delve into a few keywords about this genius Peter Pan and explore some of the interesting things he did. Finally, we'll take a look at Feynman's proposed methods for efficient learning. Part 1. The first keyword is a strong curiosity. Curiosity can be considered a standard configuration for scientists. Without curiosity, many discoveries wouldn't be possible. Additionally, Feynman had strong hands-on skills, using experimentation to prove his ideas. Newton, curious about why apples fall to the ground instead of floating in the sky, discovered universal gravity. Watt, inspired by seeing a kettle lid lifted by steam, improved the steam engine. Similarly, Feynman's curiosity was evident from a young age. He enjoyed tinkering with various gadgets and was determined to get to the bottom of things he didn't understand. At the age of 11 or 12, he set up a small laboratory at home, equipped with a variety of items. There was a heater capable of exploding potatoes and various circuit boards. Once, he created an anti-theft bell. Whenever someone pushed the door, the circuit would connect, triggering a sound. He also loved playing with radios, always listening attentively. He bought many second-hand radios at a low price, either with broken speakers or loose wires, and repaired them himself. While repairing, Feynman would encounter machines so severely damaged that others advised him to give up, saying he was just a child and couldn't fix it. However, Feynman disagreed, stating that he would never give up when faced with difficulties. If he started something, he would make sure to understand it thoroughly. This determination to solve problems enabled him to persist in researching and acquiring various new skills. Feynman possessed another remarkable skill, safe-cracking. He learned this during World War II when he participated in the Manhattan Project. Due to the secrecy of the project and the lack of entertainment for research and development personnel, they learned this skill during their leisure time. There are various types of safe locks, and Feynman mentioned that common padlocks were particularly easy to open, similar to breaking cookies. After acquiring this skill, he suggested improving document security. Still, others thought that locking things up ensured safety. Feynman, however, took advantage of opportunities when the drawer owner was absent, entered the room, took the needed documents, and returned them after completing the task. The owner would be surprised, wondering how the documents ended up in Feynman's hands. Later, the research facility replaced the safes with sturdier ones, featuring combination locks with 3 discs on top. To crack this, Feynman invested a lot of effort, even purchasing 2 books. However, these books only taught how to guess passwords, such as using the owner's birthday or anniversary. The actual techniques for lock-picking were scarce. He practiced on his safe, initially locking 1 digit of the password and then trying new combinations. Over time, he could open a safe in about 4 hours on average. In the end, after about a year and a half, he had opened all the safes in the research facility. By then, his lock-picking skill had reached a professional level. Part 2. You see, this innate curiosity and hands-on ability enabled him to explore fresh and enjoyable endeavors in various fields. Besides curiosity, what allowed him to joyfully immerse himself in the seemingly tedious field of physics was Feynman's love for the thrill of discovery, his second keyword. Feynman expressed in the book that the reason he enjoyed studying physics was not merely to acquire knowledge but to play. He loved contemplating different phenomena and considered it a form of amusement. Even in what we might perceive as commonplace occurrences, he would delve into the underlying principles. Once, while dining in the school cafeteria, he observed someone tossing cafeteria plates into the air for fun. He noticed that, as the plate spun, the school emblem on top rotated faster than the plate itself. This small observation prompted him to ponder and continuously derive the equations for spinning plates, using principles of mechanics and dynamics to explain this phenomenon. Eventually, Feynman actually calculated the conditions under which the plate and the emblem on it could achieve a 1:2 speed rotation. He shared this discovery with a good friend, who advised him that while it was amusing, it might lack practical significance. Feynman, however, disagreed, believing that the fun itself was the significance of such research. Therefore, immersing himself in things that fascinated him and relishing physics became Feynman's greatest joy. Part 3. Feynman had another characteristic, his third keyword, the ability to make complex things tangible by explaining abstract principles in simple terms or through examples. Feynman conducted a famous ice-water experiment related to the Challenger space shuttle disaster. The Challenger exploded in the air, resulting in the tragic death of 7 astronauts, and shocked the world. The then U.S. President Reagan assembled a team of experts to investigate, and the 68-year-old Feynman was one of them. After the investigation, Feynman narrowed down the problem to the O-ring seal of the rocket booster. This seal, made of rubber, had some elasticity. During rocket launches, it protected the rocket body's interface, serving as a seal to prevent hot gases from reaching the fuel tank. However, the launch site temperature was extremely cold, below freezing. The seal contracted when exposed to cold, and when the fuel tank started burning, the temperature difference caused the seal to fail. But how could he explain this reason to the entire nation, even the world, in a way that people could understand? Using professional terms like malfunction of high-pressure fuel turbopump would be hard to comprehend. Therefore, Feynman performed a classic demonstration experiment during a press conference. He used forceps to pick up a rubber ring soaked in ice water for a while. When taken out, the marks of the forceps were visible on the rubber ring, and it took a few seconds to return to its original state. This experiment perfectly explained that on the day of the Challenger launch, the low temperature caused the O-ring seal to fail to immediately recover, leading to fuel leakage from the spacecraft's connection and resulting in an explosion. This experiment is considered one of the most beautiful modern scientific experiments. Feynman, with a method simpler than a high school lab, clarified the complexities of the space shuttle disaster. Imagine if he had used various professional terms to explain, perhaps not as many people would have understood where the problem lay. Feynman's brilliance lies in making scientific principles understandable to non-experts. This method of explanation was also attempted by Einstein to explain relativity. Sitting next to a pretty girl for 2 hours feels like no time at all, but when you're next to a stove in the summer, even if it's only for a short while, it feels like an hour. Here, we have relativity. In fact, science is not as profound as we imagine. Ultimately, it is meant to serve our lives. Feynman's ability to visualize complex things made some people doubt his professorship. A shorthand typist once asked him, "When other professors speak, I don't understand what they're saying. But when you talk, I understand everything. So, I don't think you can be a professor." Because of Feynman's ability to make complex things tangible, in addition to being a physics expert, he also held another role in his lifetime, that of a physics teacher. In teaching, he placed special emphasis on developing students' ability to transfer knowledge because he believed that knowing how to apply principles was more important than simply memorizing them. For example, due to a U.S. government project, Feynman came to Brazil and taught electrical and magnetic courses for some time. When he arrived in Brazil, he was shocked to frequently see elementary school students buying physics books at bookstores. Many Brazilian children were learning physics much earlier than American children. However, Brazil had never produced any scientists. During classes, he discovered the reason: these students couldn't solve applied problems, they were better at rote memorization. He asked students a question from the textbook, and they could answer it smoothly. But when he asked a similar question, they couldn't. The applied problems he assigned to students, most couldn't complete. Therefore, students didn't like his teaching style. Brazilian students preferred when teachers explained a concept, and they would meticulously transcribe it, memorize it, and then take the exam. Regarding this phenomenon, Feynman made an analogy in a year-end speech. He said, "Imagine a Greek scholar going to a country that doesn't understand Greek and finding that people are trying hard to learn Greek. The scholar happily asks them, when Socrates talked about the relationship between truth and beauty, what did he propose? Not a single student can answer. Then the scholar asks, in the third dialogue with Plato, what did Socrates say? Students immediately become animated, reciting Socrates' words in beautiful Greek without missing a single one. In fact, what Socrates said in the third dialogue was about the relationship between truth and beauty, but it wasn't defined so rigidly in the book. He believed that Brazil's education system was also like this, and he strongly criticized this educational approach. Part 4. Feynman, possessing curiosity and the ability to transfer knowledge, also had an extraordinary learning capability. This marks his fourth keyword. His learning ability extended beyond the realm of physics to include many seemingly unrelated pursuits, such as learning to draw and play the samba drum. Anything that piqued his interest, he would try. Learning to draw was a spontaneous idea that emerged when he and a painter friend, Jerry, thought, "What if you teach me to draw, and I teach you physics?" The two quickly agreed, and under the guidance of his artist friend, Feynman's drawing skills improved. Eventually, he held a personal art exhibition, where some of his paintings were actually sold. Later, Feynman expanded the themes of his artwork, even creating nude paintings. Originally intended to be sold to a massage parlor in the red light district, one of his nude paintings was purchased by someone from the meteorological office and hung in their office. During his time in Brazil, a U.S. consulate employee, aware of Feynman's interest in samba music, told him about a samba band that practiced at their home every week, inviting him to join. Surprisingly, upon hearing the music, Feynman discovered a small instrument called the pandeiro, a small Brazilian hand drum, in the band, and he took a liking to it. He learned to play the pandeiro and later learned the frigideira, a percussion instrument. He even performed with the band during the carnival in Brazil. It's quite unimaginable, a foreign physics professor participating in Brazil's carnival, playing local music, making him something of a cross-genre musician. Upon returning to the United States, he also served as the drummer for the ballet troupe at the California Institute of Technology, showcasing and further developing this skill. In addition to these two skills, he could also decipher Mayan hieroglyphs, identify different people by smell, and see through gambling tricks. All these seemingly specialized abilities were, in his view, a piece of cake, highlighting the strength of his learning capability. Part 5. It can be said that Feynman was a natural-born scientist, exhibiting the qualities of a scientist from an early age. His possession of these traits can be attributed to his father's educational methods, which are still considered highly valuable. His father employed an open-ended approach to education, allowing Feynman to observe nature thoroughly, think creatively, and ultimately, both Feynman and his sister became physicists. Even when Feynman was still in a baby chair, his father brought home many blue and white porcelain tiles used in toilets. Together, they arranged these tiles like dominoes, knocking them down or setting them up repeatedly according to different color patterns. His mother wondered what was so entertaining about it, and his father explained, "I'm teaching him mathematical permutations." Perhaps at that age, while other children were playing with stuffed animals and toy cars, his father had already begun introducing him to mathematics in such an interesting way. Feynman's father also frequently read the Encyclopedia Britannica to him, using vivid language to describe abstract things. For instance, he would say, "A dinosaur is 25 feet tall with a head 6 feet wide, which is roughly the height of 2 floors and wider than our windows." By providing such explanations, his father always translated the concepts he taught into tangible and meaningful entities, laying the groundwork for Feynman's simplified approach to thinking. His father encouraged him to think creatively, posing questions like, "If you encountered Martians and they asked you why Earthlings sleep at night and eat, how would you respond?" These seemingly absurd questions cultivated in him a habit of enjoying pondering. His father's approach to education was not just about telling him what something was but also explaining the knowledge and principles behind it. One time, when Feynman and his friends were playing on a hill and saw a particular bird, his friends asked, "Do you know what it's called?" Feynman didn't know, and his friends teased him, "You don't know this? Your dad didn't teach you." Actually, his father had taught him about this bird, but in a different way. Instead of directly stating the bird's name, he told Feynman the names this bird is called in Italy, Portugal, China, Japan, and other countries. They also observed why the bird kept pecking its feathers with its beak, speculating on the reasons behind this behavior. This inquisitive education, delving deeply into the subject rather than just knowing the name of the bird, naturally made a more profound impact. It was under such educational guidance that Feynman learned the difference between knowing the name of something and truly understanding something. His father also nurtured in him a love for observation. One day, while playing with a toy carriage, Feynman noticed the movement of a small ball inside the carriage. The ball moved backward when the carriage was pulled and forward when the carriage stopped. He went to his father, who explained to him that it was inertia, a phenomenon in physics. It was this educational method that allowed Feynman to approach things around him with his innate curiosity. He would forever use his persistence and dedication to accomplish everything he set out to do, ultimately becoming the curious character of science. Part 6. Earlier, we discussed Feynman's interesting life, and now let's delve into Feynman's unique learning method. In the book, How to Learn Effectively, author Scott Young mentioned that the core of Feynman's learning method is to confirm understanding by explaining a concept clearly to others. In simpler terms, it involves reinforcing your own knowledge through narration. Feynman's learning technique consists of 4 steps. 1. Identify a learning concept. Choose a concept you need to learn. Take a blank sheet of paper and write the concept at the top, such as the definition of a mathematical function. 2. Recite the concept to someone else. Write down your understanding of the concept on the paper. Imagine you are in a conversation with someone, narrating the concept to them. During this process, you will discover which parts you can explain clearly and which parts you find challenging. The areas where you struggle to explain either indicate a lack of complete mastery of the knowledge or a problem with your explanation. These are the areas you need to focus on for further learning. 3. Correct mistakes and delve deeper. Relearn the parts where you stumbled during the narration. Consult various resources until you can smoothly articulate those previously challenging aspects on paper. This process, along with the previous narration, can be repeated in a cycle. Whenever you encounter difficulties, pause to learn and then resume narration. 4. Review and condense. After clarifying all the learning concepts, rephrase the entire concept in your own words. This step serves as a check to ensure you have truly grasped the knowledge. Reviewing the material involves presenting it again, this time in a condensed manner. If others can understand your explanation, it indicates the success of your learning. In summary, this book tells the story of the scientist Feynman's fascinating life. First, we discussed 4 keywords that characterize him: intense curiosity, the ability to concretize complex things, maintaining enjoyment in exploring the world, and a unique set of learning skills driven by these traits. Secondly, we explored his upbringing and the open-ended educational approach his father used. His father's teaching emphasized understanding principles over memorizing concepts. Lastly, we delved into Feynman's learning method, which involves 4 steps: identifying a concept, reciting it to someone else, correcting mistakes, and reviewing and condensing the knowledge. Feynman was a scientist with a childlike curiosity. He assumed he was ignorant, maintained a skeptical attitude towards the world, and had a perpetual interest in verification. He would forever use his persistence and dedication to accomplish everything he set out to do. These characteristics made him an intriguing individual. In our busy lives, we can also try to maintain excitement and curiosity in everything we do, delve into things we are passionate about, and cultivate ourselves into interesting individuals. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice, achieve our financial goals, and create a better future together. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.